Hi folks, welcome to my humble homestead in the forest on this beautiful September day, September 12th. The steaming pile of poop that you see before you, the non-speaking, silent pile of steaming poop that you see before you is my newly arrived horse manure. It arrived a couple of nights ago at 9 o'clock after much anticipation. I spent yesterday morning for 2 hours moving some around for my elderly neighbor across the road. She bought the same size from the same horse farmer who has horses. And then in the afternoon yesterday, I spent 4 hours filling some of my 33 raised beds, as you can see, and I put a dent into them. This morning, I spent another 2 hours filling up some more, and now I'm here to do probably an hour to do just 1 or 2 beds because the rest of them we haven't harvested everything from them. So I have more work to do once those beds are emptied. But in the meantime, I'm here to today tell you what I've learned about manure. Where to start? Chicken manure probably has the highest amount of nitrogen in it. The reason for that is that I believe avian poultry or avian poop, their poop and pee is one. Anyone who owns a new car or a freshly clean washed car knows that how birds are allergic to them, and when they poop, you've seen their poop is almost like half and half liquid, half solid, on your windshield mostly. And that's probably why it stinks so much, because it's the pee that stinks more than it does the poop, because poop will dry, especially on a breezy day like today, and it'll harden like this if you leave it out even in the sun. I meant to say a windy day or sunny day, it'll harden and the smell will be gone. I mean, if you're a bit squeamish or finding it disgusting, this doesn't have hardly any scent right now, and whatever scent that it does have, I love, because it reminds me of driving through the countryside, the smell of countryside, the meadows and whatever. And before I come to that, I just want to finish with the chicken manure. So the highest in nitrogen, and because there's also pee in it, there's no pee in this. This is like 90%, maybe 80% poop. And probably that's why in some municipalities don't allow you to have chickens in your backyard, because they stink, and people, I say they stink. When we had our chickens, I was raking the ground and adding leaves and everything, so it was odorless. But most people anyone that I know, even around here, they just let their chickens do what they do, and they don't really look after them. And so, or the smell. But because they're so high in nitrogen, you really need to make sure that they're composted well. If they're not composted enough, they're too hot, and they'll burn whatever plant that you put them on. And the other thing I don't like about there's 3 things I don't like about chicken manures. The second thing I don't like about chicken manures is that they're sold in buckets, dry, like sort of like pellets, and that's fine. But the thing is that for any company to make that much manure in a bucket, it would have to mean that they're not free roam, or even in like free roam, like even how we have inside big chicken run. And so what it means is that they are probably in captivities in hundreds or thousands. And so I don't like that idea, because how else are you going to collect that much manure to then dry to make them take so little space in a bucket. And the third reason why I don't like chicken manure is because I need something that acts both as a manure and soil, which this is. Look at the size of this mound. This was a dump truck. If you know what a dump truck size looks like, this is it. And it's not cheap. And I suppose, why should it be? Somebody is paid, to look after these horses, feed the horses, and then load that dump truck, and the cost of running that, and the gas and everything, maintenance. I would have liked to have had, this is my second pile in, say, 9 years. I would have liked to have had a third. I would have liked if this was my third pile. But even though we're lucky enough to have two folks who have horses within 15 minutes, there was no money, to be honest. And you can't squeeze manure from rock. So whatever, that's life. But the second, probably, possibly best manure would be sheep or goat. But they don't offend. There's no pee in it. They're round, like marble size, like deer would be, like bunnies would be. They're also good. But same idea though. They don't, even though they can poop in piles, it's difficult to get a lot of them, like a dump truck size. Because of their size, they don't poop. Their poop isn't as big. And again, imagine to have this size of, which is condensed already, this size of sheep manure or goat manure, which I would like to have that amount. You would have to have a lot of sheep and goats, which then you have to think, how are they raised, where are they kept? That's the other thing. And what are they fed? Now, according to my neighbor, my elder neighbor, she says that horses don't eat genetically modified, like, say, grains or hay that's been sprayed or pesticide. Well, I don't know if I believe that, but if I do, it would only be because, if you've heard of that saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. Well, if there's any truth to that, it's because horses know when water is contaminated or not clean or whatever, like goats and chickens, and they wouldn't drink it. As thirsty as they might be, they're not like us. They can tell somehow. So if that's true, then it's probably true that the feed that they were fed was good, which I like. And this is local. I don't really know any sheep or goat farms around. And that's the other thing. If you're looking for cheap land, cheap land, that means you have to go far, 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 far. And the farther you go, the farther you are from everything. As remote as my location is, I still have, I mentioned, two families who have horses that can produce this much manure for us if we need it. And so remember, there is a cost to everything, and compromises that you have to make. If your number one reason for moving out, if you're planning on moving out, is to find super cheap land, then that would mean that you're so far away from everyone and everything that, in terms of finding employment, or if you need something like this delivered to you, people don't want to drive that far, or they'll charge you a lot for it to compensate. And yeah, but don't. Um, I mean, you can use cow manure, which a lot of people have, but then they'll eat anything and they're not as good, and they can produce a lot of poop, and that's not for me either. But don't feel bad if um, money's tight for you. I know what you're going through, and even now. And I've made some videos. There are ways that you can have free. Even I say free, it's like a byproduct. You've already paid for it. You already have it. Free is sort of a um, fertilizer for your soil, provided you have soil. And one is like some call these things water, like egg water, banana water, whatever. But I prefer. I mean, I don't know if I prefer, but I call it composted tea. So you can have bananas and you put them in water, or eggshells, or be it whatever, like you've seen me do with my comfrey and my stinging nettle. One is for fruiting plants, one is for leafy plants, and you let them in the water, sit in the water for a few weeks, and then very concentrated, so the concentration is 50 parts to 1, and then that could be a fertilizer for your. That's something you already have. Something that you really have that maybe you even pay less for is your own pee or urine. And we don't use any medication, and so it's clean, and that is an amazing source too. So again, it has to be diluted though. I think it's something like 30 parts to 1, so 30 parts of water to 1 part of pee or urine of your own, and then you can use that as fertilizer. There's nothing wrong with that. If any of these things are too difficult for you to hear, then this lifestyle is probably not for you. Homesteading, and in particular off-grid homesteading, as opposed to going to the store and buying fertilizers or whatever. I'm just going to mix a wheelbarrow just to show you how I do it, because I also add wood ash to it, because wood ash, what it does is that it's high in potassium and trace elements. So I don't add a lot, maybe a shovelful, and not even a full shovel. You'll see, I'll show you. And that also adds to whatever goodness that this has. Oh, before I forget, one other reason why I prefer horse manure, in addition to how much I get and what's in it. It is more balanced. Have you ever heard of the saying, hay is for horses? Well, the thing is that hay is an amazing thing. Throughout the summer, and I've made these videos, you can go see them, I tried to, as much as I could, uh, identify and show you what plants I have growing in my neck of the woods, and what I do with them, what they're good for, the medicinal uses, and all these things. Well, that is what you find in the meadows and the pastures, and that are naturally growing. All these beautiful flowers like vetch and evening primrose and whatever that's there that they eat, and then they poop it out. So it's a mixture of all these other lovely things that they eat, and then dandelion flowers of all kinds. And then this is what you're more or less looking at, and that's in the summertime. And farmers that have big enough fields harvest their hay at around this time of year. Now that we haven't had rain for a while, they want them to be dry because they don't want to take them, harvest them wet, and then put them away and get moldy. And they feed them as much as they can in the winter, supplementing it with grains. So this needs to be pretty aged because all of those things, plants, the flowers, everything that they eat in the hay that's in the hayfield, they eat have seeds. And so if they're not, they haven't reached a particular heat in there to kill those seeds or whatever, then when you put them out in your garden, those things are going to pop up. And I just want to let you know that if you use horse manure and you see these wildflowers or some of the things that you, particularly in society in general, calls weeds, start to come out of your soil, and that's the reason. I don't mind it because I don't see them as weeds, but and I can weed them if I want to. If so, it's not a problem for me. But just so you know that that's also a thing to you might want to consider. Let me just reset the camera and just do a load for you, and I'll let you go because I know you're busy, just like everyone else is. I may be living in a simple life. Life in the slow lane, but you may not be. All right. Yeah. So now a little bit of wood ash. That's enough. Sure, practical exercises too, folks. When I was when I lived in the city, I had a gym membership. I worked out 5 days a week. Weight bearing exercises. One day was half and half. So that and like class exercises, sort of an aerobics kind of thing, and a couple of days of yoga. And I thought I was in a pretty good shape. But living here, what you need is stamina, and this is a marathon here, not a sprint. Big muscle mass, whatever, that might help you, but in a survival sort of situation, you need to have some fat on you. You'll be happy to know, some of you, but more than that, stamina. You should be able to do the same thing over and over again for a long period of time, because sometimes that's what you have to do before the weather changes, or like I said, in a survival situation, you will be back to our hunter-gatherer sort of scenario. And what if you don't find food for a while? You need some fat reserve. Anyway, this is it, folks. That's I don't load it too much. It's the only wheelbarrow I have, and over the time it can be heavy on your back. Hopefully now you have a bit of an appreciation for what it's like to be an organic farmer. I mean, I don't sell anything, any of my goods, any of my plants or produce products myself, but I do appreciate folks that do. Take good care. Well, folks, you get the gist of what I do. And basically, I do the same thing over and over and over again for the next 4 hours with a break in between, maybe longer if I I can put off my other chores so I can finish this before the rain comes, and then you know some of the nutrients will get soaked into the ground. Sorry, not ground, the regular soil that's here. And then after I'm done with all of this, I have compost, uh, a year-old compost of my own that I will put on the very top, maybe about an inch or so of it, and that is, I guess you can call it topsoil or whatever. And then the roots will go through this, and then it will go through this organic, oh, 5 6 year old organic soil that's under it. It will be all yummy, yummy, and good for you. So far I've done yesterday 1 2 3 4. With this one will be 5 beds, and of the 33, well, you can do the math. uh, I'll just show you a real quick visual of what's left to do, and I will let you go. I know you're busy. Everyone's busy. Well, take good care, folks. Get outside if you can. And like I say, think outside. Box not required. Bye bye.